Right, hello guys, and welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing the best Season 2 Black Ops 6 settings plus Xbox Elite Series 2 setup for Black Ops 6. Yes, I use an Xbox Elite Series 2 controller. I do have a setup and some great settings for you guys to use here in Season 2, which I'll be sharing with you straight away, as we've also got on the screen with my Call of Duty setup for Black Ops 6. But if you want to skip ahead and get those all-important Black Ops 6 settings because you have no need for the Xbox Elite Series setup, feel free to skip ahead. I have a timestamp down below for you guys to skip to and get those all-important Black Ops 6 Season 2 settings. But let's begin with the Xbox Elite Series 2 controller. So we'll start with the mapping, of course. As you can see, everything is kind of the same. RB is RB, Y is Y, B is B. You name it, it's all the same. Nothing really changes besides the all-important part. Most of you will know the Xbox Elite Series 2 does come with 4 sets of paddles. You can have 4 paddles, 3 paddles, 2 paddles, 1 paddle, or no paddle at all. Now, as you can see, it has these all labeled here. X is down here, Y is here, B is here, and A is here. I only use one of these paddles, and that's the one you're looking at right here. A is mapped to that paddle specifically there. That is the only paddle I use. I use one paddle on the controller, and I want to stress this enough. You do not have to use all 4 paddles. You can use 3, you can use 2, you can use 1. You can use absolutely none if you feel like it. But I use A, because A for me in the game is mapped to jumping, and jumping is quite important in Black Ops 6. It's still quite useful and can be used quite well in most situations. But if you want to have another setting, like another paddle map, feel free to do so. It's all personal preference, but for me personally, I've got one paddle, and I'm actually using the short paddle there, not the long paddle like the screen would suggest. So you can do that as well. You can move the paddles around. You don't have to use the long paddle at the bottom and the short paddle exactly where it's supposed to go. You can move them around. Make sure you set it so it's comfortable for you. That's the only thing I'll stress with that. So yes, I use one paddle. It's mapped to A for jumping, and that's all I use when it comes to back paddles. Next up, we're going to be moving on to the left stick. Now, this isn't anything too crazy. It's just movement. I've got it on the absolute default. It is on default sensitivity curve and on the radial calculation. There's nothing really special you need. It's just movement. You know, it doesn't need to be anything special. You can change this to instant if you want. I have seen some success with instant, but otherwise, I just go radial. It's just perfect and, you know, keeps things the same and keeps things balanced. But right stick, this is very important. I can't stress this enough. If you are planning on getting this controller or do have this controller, you need to be using default sensitivity curve and true diagonals. You will want to change this setting on the right stick like forever. Like, you do not want to be changing this back once you've done this. This is the most precise calculation when it comes to your aim. Like, this will keep you will be as accurate as anything. I can't stress it enough. Unfortunately, I don't have a hand cam, but this is tracking my right stick thumb movement perfectly. Like, it is perfectly in sync compared to if you use radial or the other one, which is axis independent. You want to be using true diagonals, and thank me later. But before we move on from the thumbsticks, I want to talk about the other things you have to use. Of course, there are other things to the thumbsticks that you can't see, which are, for instance, the tension. If you didn't know, you can remove the thumbstick from this and you see that you have like a little silver thing in. You also have a silver key that comes with your Xbox Elite Series 2 controller. You want to get that key, put it in here and set it to the maximum tension, turning it as far as you can to the right, possibly, because this will give the controller as maximum tension. What this means is you can have a bit of resistance when you're moving it around, which stops you from overcompensating. So that's going over the target. There's a little bit of resistance, helps you stay more on target. So that's what you want to do. You want to increase the tension to maximum on your right stick. And left stick, I left the tension alone. Again, it's just movement. You don't need it to be precise. You don't need to have any tension there. If you want to do so, feel free to do so, but on the right stick is the only bit we need to change the tension. And then finally, we'll talk about the actual stick modules, like sizes and stuff, because yes, you do get different stick modules. So you get tall, short, slightly bigger, like surface area. I use both of them are Xbox default sticks, but on the left stick, I have like a really flat, like, I don't know where this is from. I'm pretty sure I got this from Temu, which is going to sound crazy, but some sort of big surface area thumbstick, just because it's comfortable. But on the right stick, I do have a tool Control Freak. Now, I'm not sponsored by Control Freak, but I have used their product for years now. In actual fact, I am using right now a Black Ops 4 Control Freak. That's how crazy this is. These have lasted me since Black Ops 4, and I've never broken, never like had the rubber fall off, nothing. The Control Freaks are absolutely incredible, and I'd advise getting some if you really want to try them. They're not very expensive at all, cost maybe a £10 or £15 at best. But if they last since Black Ops 4, which is how many years ago now, I think that's some, you know, a good price point for a product that is going to last you a very long time. But yes, I use a normal Xbox default stick on the right stick, but I have a tool Control Freak on top of it. But if you don't want to buy Control Freak, simply just get the Xbox tool stick and put that on as well. You'll have the same effect. You just won't have as much of a large surface area as I do with the Control Freak. Moving on, we're going on to the triggers. We've got these set to 0 to 1. As you can see, as soon as I press the trigger, that is it. I am doing a full press. So as soon as I press the left trigger, that is it. That will be fully aiming down sight as soon as I press it. Same with the right trigger. As soon as I press it, I'll be shooting instantly. I'll also be able to, you know, shoot a semi-auto rifle quite quickly with this because there is next to no like resistance as well, as you can see. And on top of that, we'll talk about the tension of the triggers. So I have the tension on the left trigger as normal. Like I can actually fully press this trigger down, but as you can see, as soon as I press it, it will instantly respond anyway. But on the right trigger, I do have the trigger stop set to its maximum. So as soon as I press it, I can't press it any further. That is so that I can be able to fire a semi-auto weapon as quick as possible. But yes, set these to 0 to 1, because then as soon as you press the trigger, you will be instantly either aiming down sight and firing your weapon at the same time. And then we've got vibration. Turn this off. You do not need the controller shaking around your hand. I can't stress this enough. It will also save the lifespan of your controller. Trust me, you want to be turning these off. Do not have these on. And then finally, color. We've got it on orange. Maximum aim assist when you use orange. I've also heard purple is pretty good for your accuracy. No, I'm only joking. But the option's there. You can customize your controller, make it nice and pretty. I'm going with orange at the moment. Looks nice with a blue Xbox Elite Core controller. And yes, I know I say Elite Series 2 controller, Elite Core controller. Both the same thing. They both do the same job. You can use these settings on both controllers. But that is it for the Xbox Elite Series 2 / Xbox Elite Series Core controller. Any questions, leave them down below. I will try to answer them as best I possibly can and help you out with your Black Ops 6 settings when it comes to using your Xbox Elite Series 2 controllers. Or if you're looking to purchase it, let me know down below what you want to know, and I'll happily advise you as best I can when it comes to getting an Xbox Elite Series 2 controller. But moving on, we're going to be moving on to those all-important Black Ops 6 Season 2 settings. So I'll catch you guys on the next part of the video. Right, and hello to those of you joining us for the Black Ops 6 Season 2 best settings. Yes, that's right. I'm going to be sharing with you my best settings for Black Ops 6 here in Season 2. As you can see, we've got some fresh new content to grind for. Hopefully this update's going to freshen up Black Ops 6 and make it a lot better here in Season 2. But one way to start well in Season 2 is to have some good settings. So I'm going to share them with you right now. So we'll start off, of course, with the controller. Of course, we're not doing mouse and keyboard settings here. This is controller. But button layout, we've got tactical. The reason for that being, you've got melee is swapped with your change, stance, slide, and dive. Reason for this being, I like having the ability to slide and dive and everything on my right stick, so I'm never taking my thumb off the thumbstick whilst trying to execute like a slide cancel, etc., or be able to like dive into prone, etc. And meleeing isn't too important in this game. It's not going to win you every gunfight in the world. We don't have things like commando like we did back in Black Ops 1, etc. So I'd rather leave the melee on B and just have it there to obviously be able to still do it. But all important, I want to be able to change my stance, slide, and dive whilst keeping my thumb on the thumbstick and not having to move my thumb off of my aiming stick. Stick layout preset default. Vertical and horizontal stick sensitivity. This is very important. Now, the scale is changed a lot. Most people would have been used to the 1 to 20 that we used to have. It did change last season. It is now obviously 0 to, I think, 4 or something. You want to have this between 1.30, well, 1.35, I'd say, and 1.70. That's about the range of 4 to 8. That's where I'd say you want your sensitivity to be. I've got a 1.50 for both horizontal and vertical if you really just want to copy what I'm using and then go from there. Feel free to do so. But anywhere between 1.35 and 1.70 is what I would say for your horizontal and vertical stick sensitivity. All this stuff doesn't matter. Keep this off, except for this. You can change this if you want to. I know on PlayStation a lot of people like changing this. Feel free to try and experiment with this. With Xbox controllers, I wouldn't try this so much, but it's there nonetheless. Control vibration, have it off. You do not want the controller shaking around your hand. You do not need to have this on whatsoever, and it will save the lifespan of your controller, which is very important. Deadzone inputs, very important. You want to make sure you're not getting a ton of stick drift. So I've got these set to 2, 99 max, 5 on the right stick min, and then 99 right stick max. Reason for this being, so left stick, it's just movement. It doesn't really matter too much if you actually get stick drift, and plus we don't have that event anymore where you get caught moving around and stuff where you probably wanted to not have stick drift. This doesn't really matter. I have it set to 2, but right stick, just because controllers do develop stick drift over time, unless you're one of those people who has a controller that has Hall effect sticks, then it won't matter so much to you. But most controllers develop stick drift over time, so I could easily set this to 2 and have no issue. But over time, my controller is going to get stick drift, and I'm going to have to change this over and over again, which is going to affect how I aim. It's going to feel different every single time until eventually, I get to a point where my controller can't stick drift too much, or I need to change my controller, etc. So I have this set to 5 so I don't experience stick drift for a very, very long time until my controller probably needs replacing. Left trigger and right trigger, you have these set to 0, so that as soon as you press them, it will consider your response and you will be able to aim down sight or shoot the weapon in your hand as quick as possible. Next up, we're going on to aiming. Now, this is very important. We've got sensitivity multiplier. Keep these on default. You don't need to change anything here. Look inversion, again, you do not need to change this, but all important before we actually go here, target aim assist, make sure you got it on. Do not have your aim assist off. If you're on controller, make sure you're using this. There's no reason to not be using aim assist. Like, it's there for a reason. Look inversion, again, keep it all standard. Don't need to change it. ADS sensitivity transition timing. Now, I've seen some people crazily saying that you need to change this to gradual. Do not do that. Put it to instant. There's no reason to be using gradual. It does not make any sense whatsoever. Have this set to instant. Third person ADS correction type, again, leave it. It doesn't really matter too much. I don't play any third person modes. Aim response curve type. This is important. I think most people use dynamic nowadays. You can actually get away with using linear in this game. It is actually quite good, but I'd say either dynamic or linear, but I would probably stick with dynamic. And your aim response curve slope, not many people mess around with this. You need to mess around with this. This is such a game changer, and I'd recommend trying this in like 0.05 increments. So going from, like, say, starting off with 0.60, then change it to 0.65, and then 0.70 until you get to a point where it's perfect for you. I use 0.63 because I've refined it even more. I used to use like 0.65 and then took it down by 0.02, and I found that absolute sweet spot when it comes to my aim. And I think you guys should do the same. Start with like 0.60, 0.70, and then move up or down based off of where you think it will be better for you. And then change it even more, refine it a little bit more, maybe change it to 0.62 or 0.61, whatever is more beneficial to you. But definitely take advantage of this setting. It is super useful and very helpful, and you definitely want to be using that. Next up, movement. This is an important one. I'm seeing a lot of people go wrong with this, okay? Sprint assist, right? I've got this on, and I've got the delay to 0. You want to make sure this is set to 0. But most people are having sprint assist sideways and sprint assist backwards on. You do not want to be doing this. You get caught in attack sprint or a sprint in general in this game, you have next to no chance unless you can hit a good slide cancel or something. You're going to get caught out. Like, it takes so long to aim down sight and be able to react and shoot that you're going to get caught out. So make sure you have these off. Do not have these on. I see so many people having these on. You don't need them on. Mantle assist, have this off. You don't want to be accidentally mantling in the middle of a gunfight. And again, with all of these, have it all off. You don't want that on at all. Crouch assist, again, off. You don't need that on at all. Corner slice, I've got this on. It doesn't really do too much, I don't think. I haven't noticed too much of a big difference. But considering it's not doing anything wrong, I've just left it on. Slide dive behavior. If you want to be hitting those slide cancels as quick as possible, you want to have this set to hybrid, just so you'll hit like the what's called this slide cancelling is more responsive with hybrid. So definitely do that, or you can have it set to slide only. But if you want to be able to dive at the same time and still have that option there, then have it set to hybrid, because hybrid will make sure that sliding is the more predominant of the two. So definitely have that on. Automatic airborne mantle, again, you don't really need that. Sprint whistle, again, you don't want this on. Slide maintain sprint, have that on. Parachute behavior, doesn't really matter. There's no parachuting in multiplayer. And then we'll move on to combat. You've got hold, ADS plus melee for weapon mount activation, just because it's not very useful in this game, okay? You're much better off just moving around, hitting some movement, because, of course, the omni movement and stuff. But if you want to be able to weapon mount and have it there as an option and not accidentally doing it, have it set to ADS plus melee, so you can still do it, but not accidentally do it in the middle of a gunfight. So that's why I have that set like that. Dedicated melee weapon activation, I have hold to melee. Prioritize finishing move. I should probably prioritize the stab body shield, actually, because it's more fun. But anyway, you can change that around if you want. None of this stuff really matters too much as well. And the same with this here. I mean, it's nothing crazy. It doesn't really do anything at all. Nothing too crazy there. And again, nothing too crazy there to share either. But moving on, we'll go on to the graphics. This stuff is important. If you can play at 120 FPS, which is of course the 120 Hz refresh rate, make sure you're having this. If you can't, because of your monitor or your console capabilities, or maybe your PC can't even run at 220 Hz or anything, not even sure this is an option on PC. I'm pretty sure you just cap your frames at so many. But put it this way, you want to be trying to get the upgrade to the point of having 120 Hz and 120 FPS, because it is such a big difference between 60 FPS and 120 FPS. It's so much more responsive, so much more smooth, and is such a better like gaming experience. You need to be trying to use 120 Hz here in 2025. Gamma and brightness, this is all going to depend on TVs and monitors. Just make sure that 1 is not visible, 2 is barely visible, and 3 is easily visible. That's the way to set it. For me, that's 47. It might be different for you. Eco mode preset, I've got this set to low consumption so that my Xbox doesn't sound like it's going to take off when you're on the menus. This does not affect gameplay performance. You will not be having less frames or less performance and less reaction time, etc. It will still work correctly. It just means in the menus and stuff, it won't be so, how would I put it, overcompensating, like using too much power, etc. when it doesn't need to be. Quality, have these all off. You do not these on. As you can see, these make the game look horrible. You can't even change how much or how little anymore. These just make the game look awful, blurry and awful. Do not have them on. Fidelity cast, have it on, but set it between 60 and 80. Having this set to 100, and this is a fun fact for you, the higher you set this, the more input delay you get, okay? That is a fun fact for you. So if you want to have it off, you can, but I feel like the game looks absolutely awful if you do that, so do not have it off, in my opinion. Have it set to on, and I've got it set to 80, because that's just about the perfect sweet spot of having like good looking game, whilst also not affecting my input delay too much. But the higher you have this set, the more input delay you get. So fun fact for you, try and set this to a point where it's not affecting your like input delay, etc. On-demand texture streaming, nothing too crazy here. Just set it to minimal or on 1. You don't want this on, okay? Whatever you do, like, well, I say on, it is on all the time, but don't have it set to optimized. It is actually, fun fact, if you have it set to optimized, you have less input delay, but you are going to lag way more. You're going to have so much more like ping issues than that, and it's going to randomly lag spike during the game. Do not have it on. Set it to minimal, set it to all, and set it to 1. And yeah, have no more, at least no more severe lag issues, okay? I can't guarantee that Black Ops 6 isn't going to lag for you, but next up, don't have that on, have that off. Field of view, this is very important. You want to make sure you're getting this right as well. I have this set to 103. I'd say anywhere between 95 and 105 is what you want to be going with in this game. ADS field of view affected. I don't see why you should be using independent whatsoever. And the weapon field of view wide. The reason I put this to wide, it says, as you can see there, the weapon looks smaller, but this has less visual recoil. Now, not overall less recoil, okay? This does not make your weapon have less recoil. Like, it's not like a foregrip where it's going to reduce the recoil, but less recoil visually. It is much more better on the eye. You're able to see more, like your iron sights don't get in the way in that. And yes, as much as the weapons don't like shake around like they used to, because they updated that midway through season 1, you still want to have weapon field of view to wide, just so you're having as little visual recoil as possible. So yes, definitely have that. And again, I've got mine set to 103. That's the perfect swap for me, but anywhere between 95 and 105 for your field of view, because that does affect your aim, so make sure you're getting that correct. This doesn't matter too much. This does, though. Make sure you got this set to least. This is to stop the camera shakings. You don't want to, again, you just want the game to be still. You don't want it to be as like stubborn as possible. You don't want to be shaking around, having the screen moving around, doing crazy things when a grenade goes off, an explosive, etc., whilst you're trying to aim and like shoot someone. You don't want that to be happening, so have those set to least. Inverted flashbang is up to you. You can have it on or off. Doesn't really make too much of a difference. So whether you want the screen to go fully white and blind you, or go black and, you know, make you unable to see things, it's up to you. Next up, audio. Nothing too crazy here. I've got this set to this, so these are my settings here. I've got it set to 100, 0, 30, 100, and 0. I can hear footsteps. That's all that really matters. I can't say that I hear them like super well, but at the end of the day, as long as I can hear the footsteps, that's all that really matters. Enhanced headphone mode, have this on. Do not buy the setting, okay? I'm not even sure anyone's ever actually bought the setting. I'm sure someone out there has, but it is not a game changer. Do not buy this setting that, you know, supposedly gives you an advantage. It does not give you an advantage whatsoever, and it's not worth it at all, so do not do that. Audio mix, have it set to headphone bass boost. That's the best in my opinion. I've muted licensed music. You guys probably don't want to, but I do for, of course, YouTube purposes. And then you've got all this stuff here, which also you could change this around. If you really want to be really technical and start messing around with this, feel free to do so. I haven't, because again, I can hear footsteps, so I don't feel like I need to mess around with that. But maybe I want to do so in the future in order to improve the quality of footsteps that I'm hearing. Reduce tinnitus sound. I feel like everyone should use this just to make sure that you're, you know, you've got your hearing for when you're well into your 60s, 70s, 80s, etc. And then hit marker preset is up to you, but I've got it on default. And then we move on to the interface, because we don't really do anything with the voice chat, etc. Have your server latency and packet loss on, as you want to see whether you're on a bad server, you want to see whether you get packet loss, and whether you should be leaving the game and, you know, getting some like dodgy kill cams, etc. It might be because of bad server latency or packet loss, and you want to make sure you're seeing that. Readability, again, nothing too crazy here, but you want to move to your color customization, because this affects how the game looks visually for you. This here, again, doesn't matter too much. You can change these colors to whatever you want them to be. You can make the enemy be purple if you really want to, or green, or yellow, or red, whatever you want it to be. But this is the part that's important. This will make your game visually look better. Have your color filter set to filter 2, have it set to both, and then have it set to 100 and 100. This will make the game pop, have more color. You'll be able to see people more clearly, and it's just overall much, much better for you when you are playing the game to be able to spot enemies, and it just visually, it's more visually appealing also. Gameplay HUD, okay? Safe area, set this to as minimum as possible. The reason why this is quite important is because what this does, this brings the minimap and everything closer to the center of the screen. Now, as much as you can change your multiplayer HUD preset in that, I have it set to default like it's been for years and years in Call of Duty just because I'm so used to it. But having the safe area moved more to the center of the screen means the minimap is closer to the center and you're not having to look all the way up to the left and then back to the center in order to see that. You can look at the minimap and stay focused on the middle of the screen and be able to spot an enemy whilst checking your minimap every so often. So yeah, multiplayer HUD presets, you can change that if you want to, but I don't. Minimap shape, I have this set to square. The reason for this being, as you can see, round has way less like visual of the map. Like you want square because you can see so much more of the map with square. I don't see why you should be using round, and you should never ever be using round in any circumstances. So make sure you got that set to square. Minimap rotation, got it on, so it's kind of going with where you're facing. Radar got off, don't really need it. Compass type, again, it's not very useful whatsoever. In-game text chat, of course, you want to see some funny moments, maybe someone will rage you. Player name set to full name, so you can hopefully get some lucky moments where you maybe see a full name through the wall or something, or just, you know, sometimes you might spot the full name before you actually spot the player. Crosshair, mess around with this a little bit. I put the crosshair dot on because it's quite useful for being able to center. I have it set to default as well, don't need it too big. Crosshair spread got on, and then you got 100 so I can see it. I've got it set to green. Now I know most people will probably say not to because green could obviously get mixed in with like well, leaves and bushes and stuff in the game. Green is the most visually appealing to me. It's the one that I seem to spot the most. You guys can change it to a different color if you want to, but I go with green. But make sure this is a color that you can see clearly in the game. Hit marker visuals, you definitely want these on, and damage based hit markers so you can see that you're doing damage and, you know, when you're getting hit markers. Everything else here is just visibility and stuff. And that is it. That is everything that you need for Black Ops 6 here in Season 2. Any questions about my settings for either the Xbox Elite Series 2 controller settings for Black Ops 6 in Season 2 or my actual settings in Black Ops 6 for Season 2, let me know down below. I'll try and answer them as best as I possibly can and help you guys with your controller settings here in Season 2 so that you can do well and thrive here in Black Ops 6 in Season 2. But any questions, leave them down below. I'll answer them as best as I possibly can. But I also hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe notifications on. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Goodbye.